Things are not what they used to be. 30 years ago, it seemed entirely possible to live a simple life with a 9-to-5, some mischievous friends, an affordable place to live, and no influence of bullshit. Like and subscribe. Life, in the West at least, seemed simpler and safer. However, with the rise of technology, complete eradication of our privacy, pathetic leadership, and copious amounts of online nudity, it's actually pretty sick. Gen Z seems to have a ton of problems that generations before never faced. And while the internet has brought many economic opportunities that earlier generations could only dream of, is our dignity and humanity being lost in the process? Let's start with millennials. Back in the 90s and 2000s, things were poppin'. Bush was dodging shoes and bumbling his way through office, the PS2 was about to change gaming forever, and South Park was a comedy, not a documentary. By the end of the 2000s, however, millennials did face some challenges, like the 2008 recession, massive student loan debt, and rapid changes in technology making more traditional skill sets obsolete. On the upside, they were the first to come to grips with the true power of the internet, with companies like Amazon, YouTube, and Facebook really hitting a cultural and economic stride.
By the end of the 2010s, things were looking pretty good economically, right? Unemployment was low, inflation rate was low, young people had more money to spend and more money to save. Things were looking good. Gen Z was set for a prosperous future with a healthy economy. But we all know what happened next.
While not everybody that got COVID died from it, many did lose their sense of taste and smell, along with their fucking job, small business, or forced to sit through endless Zoom meetings because the school shut down. Meanwhile, bored teenagers were amassing billions of views through TikTok dances and generational wealth through meme coins. Also, for some reason, toilet paper became the world's most valuable commodity, but that's a story for another time.
But anyway, post-pandemic, Gen Z inherited a completely ruined global economy by the time they entered the workforce. And while things did technically go back to normal, they didn't really. Cost of living is still extremely high for people like myself who live in California and across America and just the West in general. It's very expensive to live in our world now. Now, this is down to a lot of things. It's not just inflation, it's also factors like greedflation, companies that are charging higher prices simply because they can. And companies and corporations that are typically hiring younger people are, one, paying horrible wages, and two, not actually hiring anybody. If you're wondering why you haven't got a job after applying to 20 or 30 of them, that's because 75% of job applications are turned away by automated systems before they even get to a real human. That feeling of rejection is exactly how it feels to be a 5'9" guy on Tinder. Companies have got to realize before it's too late that not everything should be automated. Some things do need the human touch in order to function properly. But that's a rant for another time.
And all this means that at times, the old dream of owning a home with a happy dog, some mischievous friends, and some goddamn inner peace seems a little unachievable. But anyway, as a card-carrying Zoomer myself, I wanted to get some perspectives from an older generation, specifically Gen X. So I spoke to a friend of mine who is a highly educated medical professional who has hired and worked with many people from Gen Z.
We hear nothing but negative things about working with Gen Z, so describe in your experience what it's like.
I discovered a really big difference in the work ethic compared to when I was growing up, compared to the people I worked with in the last 20 years. And I had to take a step back. What I found is they weren't as dedicated to the organization like we were. They weren't willing to do above and beyond like we were. And when I stepped back, I thought for a minute, maybe they're more awake than we were because we did a lot that really wasn't paid for, and now they want to get paid for everything that they did.
So what she is describing is something called quiet quitting. Now this has been a trend that's been going on for the past 3 to 5 years or so, and what it basically means is that employees aren't going to give their all to their company anymore. Basically, people who are quiet quitting are demanding a better work-life balance, which is totally understandable. In fact, in 2024, 3 out of 10 people said they were going to quit their jobs. I mean, heck, I left mine in 2023.
I spoke to someone that works in a very high-level position yesterday, and she said, they'd let me go in a heartbeat. Why am I losing everything for this company? Meaning, I didn't celebrate Christmas with my family because I was doing different work, and I didn't even get time to shop for Christmas.
However, on the downside, this does further open the door for 1, people who do want to work like crazy, 2, AI, and 3, overseas labor. And the thing is, when we all inevitably don't become successful YouTubers and podcasters, then what the hell are we gonna do? However, on the upside, we do live in a world now where you can pretty much teach yourself how to do anything as long as you have the motivation and focus. Something us Zoomers definitely struggle with.
I have 5 college degrees, 2 master's degrees. Would I say to anybody to go get that debt? Absolutely not. Go to Udemy, go to Coursera, go online and figure it out. You could skill yourself on anything.
Now, she touches on an interesting point about college. If there's one thing that Gen Z has learned from millennials, is that college isn't the skeleton key they all told us it would be. In fact, according to this Thumbtack study that I read, 55% of Gen Z is considering working in the trades as opposed to going the cap and gown route. Now, the good thing about working in the trades is that you can make a lot of debt-free money in a very short amount of time, as well as a skill set that nobody can take from you.
On the downside, however, if it's a good work-life balance and a healthy relationship with alcohol you desire, the trades are definitely not going to make that easy. Now, there are a ton of industries out there that are just hungry for young people to train and employ for their trades. Do your research before you get into a trade. You don't want to be that guy that blown his back out by 30 or on his 5th divorce by 40, you know, not even a Vicodin could kill that pain. Now, working 12-hour days outside and taking dumps in 120-degree porta-johns doesn't appeal to you, you're in luck, because Gen Z has more choices for careers than ever before. If you really wanted to, you could stream yourself eating for a living, or making YouTube videos about electric motorcycles. Gen Z is in the midst of an entrepreneurial renaissance thanks to the internet and the monetization structures that now support these platforms like YouTube. So it's no wonder that over 57% of Gen Z aspire to be influencers for a living. Now, as someone that has been on YouTube for almost 10 years, mostly as a hobby, I can tell you that I've met just as many miserable influencers as I have normal 9-to-5 working people. The truth is, man, a lot of influencers lead very fake lives, and when the numbers start not looking as good as they used to be and sponsors start leaving, it can be a pretty miserable place to be. However, if you are able to maintain a long-term audience and maintain your dignity, being an influencer can be an amazing way to make a living if you're able to pull it off and treat it like a business. And there is also a huge demand for content these days, as so many of us spend our free time staring at our screens with a fucking curtain shut, which very neatly brings me on to good old depression and anxiety. According to statistics, most of Gen Z claim they've experienced some sort of mental health illness throughout their lives. This device right here seems to be the main reason as to why it keeps coming back into our lives and sticking around inside of our heads for so long. Now, obviously these problems don't derive from the device itself. It's simply a tool, and arguably one of the greatest tools in human history, but it's what we choose to do with it. However, smartphone and social media addiction isn't just a Gen Z thing, and it affects everybody pretty widely now. And there are so many studies out there that have proven that reducing your social media usage will do wonders for your mental health in a short amount of time. But anyway, as someone who's on the tail end of their 20s, I decided to connect with a couple of younglings to get their thoughts on Gen Z.
You got that?
Oh.
Oh my goodness.
Even ironically, that wasn't funny. How would you describe the mental health of Gen Z from your experience?
Oh, I think we are the most insecure generation yet. I think we're insecure and we are more negative to each other, especially the ones younger than me. I think my age, 19, 20, or 21 down, I think we're the ones that have a symbiotic relationship with our phone and media. Like, it sometimes feels like that's a whole other world, and that's not natural, because at the end of the day, we're freaking monkeys. Some very smart monkeys,
Right.
But we were not supposed to be doing this all day.
Do you think it's because we're talking about it more than ever before, or because of the access we have to the internet that is changing the way we think about ourselves personally?
It's the second. It is the fact that we can go look up whatever we want. We can go learn whatever we want.
Comparing ourselves to other people.
We can go watch whatever we want.
Social media has a big part on Gen Z, and like, people care, like, oh, this person only got that many likes. It's like, who cares?
Do you think life would be better without social media?
Yeah, everybody's trying to be someone else, not being themselves. I see this all the time. I see someone, they're making dumb decisions, but like, you can clearly see, like, dude, what are you doing? Like, you're smarter than that.
There's plenty of negatives to social media, plenty of negatives to the internet, but it's brought us, considering what we do for a living, an opportunity that isn't working in a ditch, that isn't working 60-hour weeks on a job site.
Yep.
Because that's what our dads did.
Yes, because I am so grateful for that. I mean, with the music and all that, I have a following, I have people that listen to my stuff, and I'm able to reach, and it's not just me, there's hundreds of thousands of other artists like me that get to reach, millions of other artists
for sure.
that get to reach a bunch of people. And with those algorithms that know the ins and outs of you, they are able to get it to very specific people that are going to like it.
And that is ultimately Gen Z's biggest strength. You know, we have an understanding of this technology that allows us to do some pretty incredible things. Now, at the end of all these documentaries, I want to throw some kind of positive spin, but at the end of this and at the end of all this research I've been doing, oh, that's going to be difficult to do. When it comes to Gen Z and the problems we have and the future we're heading towards, it just kind of feels like we're on a downward spiral as far as progress goes. The technology that we have that was promised to connect us has in fact done the opposite. We're actually more lonely than ever before. And the AI and the robots that we want to just kind of do our fucking chores and all the menial tasks are now taking a lot of our jobs, as well as denying us from getting jobs. When you look at everything from a bird's eye view, it's not difficult to see why Gen Z isn't exactly pumped about our future. But then again, that could just be the internet and social media warping my reality. Because the truth is, when I step outside, get off the screens, get off the internet, things are pretty cool. As long as I don't look at grocery prices. Even social things like outdoor festivals and hobbies are still very popular, and I think are actually going to continue to grow in popularity. Now, there are so many more things worth discussing about Gen Z, but I'm kind of running low on time. Things like our decreasing birth rate, the impossible housing market, memes not being as dank as they used to be, RIP 2016, and of course, Gen Alpha. My God. But you know what, man? Our story doesn't have to be a sad one. I think all the hardships that we're going to face in the coming years are ultimately going to force us into doing the right thing in the end. And in fact, I would say that most of Gen Z is pretty much all on the same page about all of this shit. And in the end, I think we're going to be all right. This week's episode is brought to you by BetterHelp. I'm just kidding. Fuck those guys.